Okay. Hi, this is Damien Marie AtHope, and I'm an Axiological Atheist, and I'm here with my guest. Could you tell us your name and what kind of atheist you are?
Strong Atheist.
Okay. And were you always an atheist?
No.
Okay. Were you raised religious, I guess?
Very.
Okay, could you tell us about that?
Private Catholic school from birth to 6th grade. Parents turned fundamentalist, Pentecostal when I was 13. We switched over, and that was quite a shock to go from you be quiet, you only say what you're supposed to say, stand when everyone else stands, don't stand out at all, to waving their hands and flopping around and women acting like complete lunatics, and it was quite the shock. But I'd say both were damaging in their own ways. But I was more comfortable with the damage, I guess, with Catholicism because it was quiet. It was subtle. For me, anyway. Some people, it was absolutely obvious that they were being violated. Me, it was more mental, being told that I was vile from birth because my family was from a poor family, and I went to private Catholic school with a lot of rich kids. And they all knew that we were there, on scholarship, basically. And so they made my life a living hell. You're fat, you're ugly, you'll never amount to anything, and you better hope somebody loves you. You better hope you find a husband someday because you're not worth anything without one, except for Jesus. If you give your life to Jesus, then you'll have value. And that's it. I still fight that to this day. You are worthless if you don't have this slot filled by this drop-dead Fred imaginary guy. And I just, it's...
So can you explain that? What do you mean by you still have it?
I still struggle with feeling like that I have no value, and that my worth is only what I can give to other people. And so I tend to give a lot to friends or to family or people that need it. I don't know, overcompensating possibly. And so, I end up with financial issues because I give too much to people who don't necessarily appreciate it as much as they should, and take advantage of it because I have a giving heart, and they know that. And so I get used a lot that way.
And how long have you been an atheist?
Embracing the title about a year, having doubts and since elementary school. But I was real open with my mom about the questions I had, and she would respond as honestly as she could. But it would have come as no surprise to her that I wasn't following the strict, Bible route that they wanted me to. Both my parents passed away. My mom 4 years ago, my dad 3 years ago. That's made me more comfortable with the idea. Well, my brother essentially blackmailed me, saying that, well, if you ever want to see mom again, you have to be a Christian. And I was like, people they resort to blackmail to get you to do what they want you to do they have no logic behind them.
Yeah.
Now they're using fear.
Yeah.
If they're resorting to fear, there's no truth behind what they say. He was the one essentially that started me to being even willing to look at the idea of maybe she's not in this happy place somewhere. Even if I was if I was away from the church, I still had this, she's in a better place, she's going to be on the other side, and I'm going to see her again someday. So I still had that thread that I was holding on to, that it might not be heaven like we know it, like I was told, but my mom is still there, and I'll be able to get to her someday, like she was being kept away from me.
Yeah. When
I gave up her time is done, and then I'm not going to get to her again somewhere. That actually was a lot more relieving. Because I liken it to if you have someone who's a missing person, and you get this phone call saying, we got her. And if you ever want to see her again, you're not going to see her until after you're dead. And if you ever want to see her again, then you have to hate who we hate, go to church every week, give us 10% of your money for the rest of your stinking life, and then after you die, then you get to see her. Only then do you get to find out if we really had her or not. And just like a kidnap victim, I don't know that they have her. I don't know that they're just not telling me, they're trying to get extra money out of me, which is exactly what the church is doing.
Yeah.
But we have her, and if you keep giving us money, after you die, you get to see her again. It's the exact same thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, they do extort. If it was true, then they should use the truth, the evidence.
Yeah, then they wouldn't be. Then why are they afraid? What I found fascinating was the original sin is from eating from the tree of knowledge. What does God have to hide? That just made no sense to me. What was he afraid of us finding out?
Yeah,
even as a young child, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would God be afraid of us to know things?
Well, I know, but the point is, it's not just knowledge. It's actually morality.
Yeah.
Because it says the knowledge of good and evil. Why would you not want beings that you want to hold accountable to morality? Why would you not want them to know morality? It's even worse than knowledge. Like, if you demand that they know morality or acting moral, why would you not want them to understand morality? I mean, that makes absolutely no sense. And then you punish them for learning how to think about morality? Because it's the knowledge of good and evil. And then, of course, he punishes them for doing something that they didn't know was moral because they had no ability to assess morals until they ate it.
Yeah. I liken it to my grandson. If I take a plate of chocolate chip cookies and I leave it on the table, my grandson at 2 years old, no matter how stern I say, don't touch, no matter how stern I say that, he doesn't understand the consequences and ramifications to the choices he's making, just like Adam and Eve before they ate from the tree of knowledge. So they didn't understand it, so they, in my opinion, should not be held responsible for it, just like my grandson, if I leave a plate of cookies and tell him no when I turn my back. Whose fault's that?
That's right. And then what I think is interesting, too, even if they were guilty, let's just say they're totally guilty, what law in any country punishes hundreds of generations, thousands of generations for something someone did? There's not a country on the earth that does that. That I know of. I mean, because it's... Well, that's what I'm saying. Thousands of generations. I'm saying it's still being punished for this original, even if it was a crime. It makes absolutely no sense. You have to not understand morality, which I guess what he wanted, for it to make sense. Because if you understand morality at all, and you really apply that to that concept, it doesn't make any moral sense of any kind. Even to moral tyrants, it doesn't make sense.
I don't get it at all. And it's the technical things like the Earth being, the sun being made on day 4. How do you measure the sun before? I ask questions like that over. My dad would just give me the to test your faith crap, and which is why my dad was worse than worthless. My mom was the one that my mom and my stepdad listened to me and took my questions seriously and didn't just give me platitudes. When I asked about the kill all the men, women, children, burn down all the buildings, kill all the livestock, my stepfather actually said, well, if you think about it, and he gave a rational explanation for it. Well, the men would be jealous of all the wealth that the other men would have, so you burn down all the buildings. Well, you can't have the livestock around because they're also going to be jealous of all the wealth from that. Well, you killed all the children because you don't want to raise them to avenge their fathers. Them to grow up to avenge what happened to their families. So he gave it some thought rather than my dad told to test your faith, leave me alone, kind of. But not anything that really satisfied my doesn't pass the sniff test.
No, that wouldn't pass any moral test.
Yeah.
I mean, but then
The slavery in the Bible, it just baffles me, and that was one of the things I talked to my mom about, but I can't accept that was ever okay. It's like, well, that's the Old Testament, and, Jesus said this, blah, blah, and, okay, God's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the
which is
slavery
not true, because it keeps changing. Even for their own book.
But that was the standard party line at my house.
No, I know that. I'm saying it's so funny they say that when they admit Jesus changed stuff. Well, then he's not the same.
Yeah.
By your own admission.
And physics, simple things like there was no rainbow before the Noah's Ark. Physics doesn't work that way. It doesn't choose when to diffract light and not to diffract light. It's just, and none of it made sense.
Yeah.
But then to be killing people with the idea of things that don't make sense. That is, I find completely immoral. And they talk about being a loving God. I don't get that. That's not what I read from that book. It's like you can have slavery or shellfish. You ban shellfish over slavery?
Yeah.
I mean, where's the morality in that?
None. Yeah. So you said 2 years ago, right? You said when you
Well, I'd been questioning it all my life, and I had some
what changed 2 years ago?
I was willing to look at the idea that maybe I'm not going to be with her again, and maybe really have been being lied to my entire life. And to even be able to look at letting her go. Even the idea, the hope of one day being able to be with her, I had to be able to look at. And once I did that, it made a lot more sense, and it gave me a lot more relief to not feel like she was being kept from me. And then I was able to go through the logical questions, all the problems, the things I'd had with it before. Things that I didn't want to look there because, you're going to go to hell. You're going to, all the fear that had been used on me for so many years. I finally had looked at, maybe I'm just being blackmailed, just like my brother. Maybe all of this is just like my brother. And so that's what started me going, I think I've always known, but I haven't been willing to look at losing my mom that permanently. It kind of held that little piece of hope, and I knew it was false, but I still held on to it so long that it was essentially the slap in the face was my brother saying, you have to do this or this. Like, I don't think so.
So once you came out or realized you were a strong atheist 2 years ago, did you tell your family that you were, and how did that go over, if you did?
Like I said, both my parents were already passed away. The rest of my religious family had already ignored me and shoved me aside because I would ask all those pesky questions.
Yeah.
And so I really haven't heard anything from their end on what they think about it, nor do I care. My brother, it comes as no surprise, him and I have had rows for years over, things like, the environment. And, he's one of those, we can do what we want to the planet, and when Jesus comes back, he's going to heal everything, and it's going to be great.
Which is why it's such a problem.
Yeah. Just can't, the idea that this imaginary being is going to make all our problems go away, all it does is create the problems, and nobody looking for answers because they think Jesus is going to fix it.
Yeah, I always tell people, it's like if I wanted to go somewhere, like let's say I wanted to go to Florida, and I had a fake map of the world, fake map of the United States, that actually didn't route me to Florida. Would I really want to use that to navigate the world? No. I want a real map of the real world. And so to me, when you use, other world, ideas that have no bearing in this world, you're not going to be able to navigate this world very well.
Your children aren't going to be
Exactly.
able to. I don't give a shit what you vote as an adult, but doing it to that child, you are warping our next generation's ability to be able to think scientifically, rationally, morally. You see these little kids, just puking back exactly what their parents have been doing in front of them and thinking it's all giving their problems to Jesus. No, find a solution. Do something proactive. Don't sit there on your butt, close your eyes, fold your hands, and hold your head down. That makes no sense to me. Get off your butt and do something. Take some steps towards it. Don't just wish it came to you.
That's true. So have you been active in the atheist movement, going to meetings or online or?
Online, yes. Yeah. But I haven't been able to get to meetings. There's been schedule conflicts.
Okay. So what is it you do online? Do you do like groups or pages or?
Groups and Meetup. I don't know if you're familiar with the Meetup app. They have a lot of different meetings for atheist groups in the area. We did make it down to one. It was a movie get together for atheists, but it wasn't anything interactive between us.
Yeah, I know Meetup. I have actually 2 meetups.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I have HARP, which is Humanism, Atheism, Rationalism, Philosophy, and then I have Firebrand Atheism.
Oh, I haven't seen either one of those on.
Yeah, I can send you the link.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a meeting that's in Bellevue, and then the rest of it's all activism and Seattle colleges, basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen you pasted pictures on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I do.
That's how I found out you were in the area.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking that you might be, Florida or something.
No, I'm here. I was in California for a little over a year ago, but about that. Just moved up here.
How do you like it?
It's different.
Wet.
It's definitely wetter.
Yeah.
I
Were you here over the summer?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got at least taste of the dry spell.
Yeah. Yeah. When I used to do activism in California, I had a big like hat and stuff, Spanish hat,
Oh,
Mexican hat, so a sombrero kind of thing. So I keep away from the sun. Here I need like rain poncho.
Yes.
And hoodies.
Yep.
But yeah. So is there anything that you're trying to do more with your atheism? Like you get more active, or?
Yeah, I have some friends that have a 501c charity called Comics for Kids. They give out comic books to in low-income housing and that sort of thing to help improve literacy.
That's awesome.
And the kids absolutely love it. They get real positive feedback.
That's an excellent idea.
Rather than Bible stories and
right.
Yeah, the Watchtower handouts, that sort of thing. But yeah, the Gates Foundation is helping them now through some donations that they're doing, matching some of their employees or doing that. So it's coming
cool.
along, helping some kids and.
Yeah, it's important to help kids.
Yeah.
That's why I really try to go to colleges a lot in my activism, because I really believe that the colleges, that's actually what turned me atheist, was going to college.
Yeah.
And I think it's a free place.
Oh, I remember telling my mom about Lilith. Oh, yeah. I thought she was going to lose her stinking mind when I told her about that. That's not in the Bible. No, it isn't, but it's in the Torah.
Yeah.
And you guys swear that those two are the same.
Yeah.
But, oh, yeah, she didn't know. And then she asked her friend who was Jewish, and she's like, yeah, that is. Yeah, fun.
Yeah, well, a lot of even the Bible, people don't usually know.
Oh, no.
But it really, it's not that special, because the Muslims are kind of the same way.
Yeah.
You tell them, well, this thing is in the Quran. They're like, oh, I don't think so.
Yeah. Here it is. Look it up.
Yeah.
The one that really gets me is in the Bible. It says, when you pray, do not be as the
hypocrites or Pharisees or whatever.
Pharisees that pray in public, chest beating. Go in your room, close the door, and speak to your Lord in private.
Yes.
And that it's black and white. My sister's like, but what about, what does it say?
Yeah.
Go to your room,
does
close
say that.
the door, and talk to your God in private.
Yes, it does.
It says, do not do this in public. Go to your room, close the, my sister's special needs, so I kind of had to. Over and over, go to your room, close your door.
Yeah, it's true. I know that. But they do the threat prayers all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm praying for you.
Yeah. Go right ahead. I'm farting for you.
Yeah.
Passing wind for Jesus.
That's funny.
It's just, it makes no sense. I mean, but having been on the other side, and it was so much, fear. You can't even look at the idea that you might be being fooled. Don't even look at that. That's where the devil lies, and he's going to get you. If you look at that, he's going to come in and take your soul, sort of, fear, so much fear. And I got so sick of that, being afraid all the time. And so I started looking at every time I felt that knot, that sickness in my stomach, what's causing that? Where's that coming from? And that fear was always about, guilt, something related to to religion. And I'm just, what are they going to think of me? Well, why do you care what they think of you? It goes back to the freaking nuns. You're worthless, you're vile, nobody's going to love you. The idea that was pounded into my head. So much growing up, because not only did I go to private Catholic school, we were in the Catholic Church. My mom was in the choir, basically. And so all my input was through the lens of Catholicism, all the way up until I was 13. So they had 13 years of 100% control of everything that I was able to see. And even then, I was like, that doesn't make sense. Especially with sex education in Catholic school. Separate the boys and the girls. And none teaches us about sex. Really? Okay. And I remember she said that we couldn't have babies unless we were married. And I remember thinking, how could you possibly, a piece of paper, possibly change the way your body works? So I put my hand up and I said, do you mean you're not supposed to get pregnant unless you're married, or you can't get pregnant unless you're married? You can't get pregnant unless you're married. And I just kind of dismissed and went up. I'm thinking, and I'm still running it through my head. And I'm thinking, is there something on the paper that goes into your body that changes the way your body works? And I'm still running through trying to figure out how to make this work, what she just said. And my friend Jennifer Carpenter comes to me and says, that's not true. My sister has 2 kids and she's never been married. And I'm like, that nun lied to me. She lied to me. And I have always known that I was being lied to. And I wasn't sure about what. I was figuring it was about sex because I got really uncomfortable every time the sex subject came up. But I was like, she lied to me. All she had to say was, no, it's not because this is this and that is that, and this is why it's not a good idea. Kids with 2 parents have better chance, blah, blah, blah. Whatever justification, the bullshit story that they wanted to blow up my skirt, but make it true.
Yeah, really. Or close to truth.
Yeah. But then for me to find out that a nun who was supposed to be, Jesus' girl here on earth, lied to me when I flat out asked the question. Not that I assumed that I knew what she meant. I asked the question. And she lied to me. And so I'm like...
It was funny, too, because lying is actually a sin in the Bible.
Yeah, I think that was in there.
Oh, yeah, it definitely was in there.
Yeah.
It says it's the second to go to hell.
I remember this one, something I saw was God can carve the 10 Commandments into rocks for Moses, but he needs people to write it down, write the Bible down. He needs a pen for them, but he can write it into rock for us.
Yeah. Well, I would say that God spent enough time to make the 10 Commandments himself, sent Jesus supposedly to the earth. He never wrote a word. What's up with that?
It's so much control. It's such a convenient control mechanism. That was what made me so suspicious, especially in college. The more education you have, the harder it is for you to believe bullshit.
True.
Yep.
That's true. That's why it's so important we have education. That's also, they know that. That's why they are always constantly messing with education.
Yeah.
They know that the goal of really having good faith is to have lack of knowledge. So they go back to the beginning, like you were saying, with the God-feared, people understanding in a sense. Well, yeah, that's never changed. They've always feared knowledge.
Yep. And I think we need to teach kids ancient history. I remember in high school and stuff, it was all U.S. history. That was it. I was like, what's U.S. history? 250 years? That's nothing compared to the span, what's been going on. That we're just supposed to accept as gospel. Back 2,000 years when there's, at least 10,000 years of human learning about our environment. And all these legends.
How much did you say?
I'd say 10,000.
That we've known?
I think that we've actually been studying, like, the stars and the seasons and getting some idea of how the world works cyclically like that. And then we started telling legends to explain the stars. But I'm not quite sure how far back that would go. But it's way farther than they're saying humanity.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying the human body, 250,000 years. Modern human.
Well, it's 200 years. 200,000.
200,000, yeah.
Well, they're 250. There is a hominid male on the male line only from Africa. There is some people that have a 250 or more unknown hominid in the DNA. That's not human. Human DNA.
Yeah, human.
So, or whatever, Homo sapiens sapien.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's 200,000, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
The oldest bones that they've found are 195,000.
Did you see that find that they had in South Africa, where they found layers and layers and layers and layers of some of the oldest bones that they'd ever found in. It was in South
Ethiopia?
Africa. No, it was in South Africa.
South Africa?
I can't remember the name of it, but they had a special on PBS about it. Like layers and layers and layers and layers of them. It was like some sort of pit that they would bury their dead in a cave in South Africa. They put their dead in the pit.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about the Homo nati?
Yes. Yeah.
Which they're not exactly sure how old it is, but I think it was. I can't remember. I was gonna.
It's significant.
I was gonna throw out a number, then I was like, yeah, it's in my head, but nah, I don't. But Homo nati was not human. I think it's 500,000 years. I think it's 500,000 years.
It was a branch that came off.
Yeah. Well, they're not exactly sure which. In fact, even that, I don't think they're even sure which branch it came off of. If it came off of the Homo erectus, or came off of the Desovian, or what, I can't remember now, or Homo habilis, I can't remember now what, it branches, off one of those. But then it mated with, which, like you talk about sex, I mean, those hominids were mating with each other.
They didn't care. They didn't have.
You don't have morality and this whole thing of racism. Yeah, we're like, it's available. Sounds good to me.
Yep. Whatever works.
Yeah. So I know what you're talking about. Yeah, those aren't human though, but I know what you're talking about now.
They had a really neat documentary on that. It's called Curiosity Stream.
Yeah.
Curiosity Stream. I love that. We do Roku. I don't do the regular TV. We get Roku. So for $3 a month, I get the Curiosity Stream channel. Documentaries, no commercials. Love it. It's like has 500 different subjects and stuff to go
that's
through.
Cool.
A lot of them are short. Some of them are 2-3 minutes, and some of them are an hour and a half. So
That's cool. Have you read any atheist books?
My favorite one is Carl Sagan, Demon Haunted World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good
Love
one.
it. Yeah. And just bought a whole bunch of books for my grandson. So how old he is, and there's a couple kids' books. One with Carl Sagan as a little boy, and my grandson loves stars and the moon, and so we're really going to encourage him in the sciences direction. And my son wants him to have nothing to do with church. They have not taken him. He's 2 years old. He has never set foot in the church.
Good. Hope. Hope and change.
Yes. Yeah. Teach him logic. Teach him critical thinking. Teach him how to think about reality before you start teaching him fairy tales. And even like I'm slightly uncomfortable with the Santa Claus thing right now. I always tell him, that's a story. That's pretend. Enjoy it. It's neat. It's pretty. Isn't that neat? It's a story.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know the problem with stories is, as long as they're taught as stories.
Presented that way.
Yeah, presented as stories, not presented as reality.
Fiction.
Yeah. Fiction's enjoyable. I love it. It's very entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
As fiction.
As fiction. We don't pretend that it's the real world.
But I do think that people, so I've heard some people say, well, what if the Bible was fiction? Would I accept it? Well, that's like saying that I would accept hate literature. Because it's actually not just a story. If you removed all the story and took all the hate out, maybe. But it's actually...
Yeah. Well, you'd have the Jefferson Bible.
Right.
What's the Jefferson Bible?
Right, Jefferson Bible. But I'm saying, if you accepted the whole Bible as just an acceptable fiction, well, it's a fiction that has a lot of hate in it. So no, I wouldn't really accept it. Because it's not really just a story about Noah's Ark, but even Noah's Ark is a story about everyone on the planet dying because of a tyrant God doesn't like them. And then
cutting the babies out of the belly business.
Yeah.
So that I can't see as a good moral lesson.
That's what I'm saying. So no, I wouldn't even accept it as a fiction because there's a lot better fiction that's not horrid and not full of such bigotry and sexism and homophobia. It's like racism. It's like slavery. It's like, wow, God, this is terrible.
Yeah. And they will say, I was telling you, my mom had. I asked my mom about the slavery in the Bible. I'm like, the fact that it was ever okay is what I had a problem with. Is that the fact that God ever said, this is how it's okay, this is how it's acceptable for you to treat slaves. And I don't buy that it was ever okay. And not now, not then. Just because it was done back then doesn't make it okay. It's done now, it doesn't make it okay now either.
Yeah. Or like the fact you could sell your daughter into sexual slavery.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How is that okay?
Lot, this good, moral, uprighteous man, is going to send his virgin daughters out to be gang raped by the crowd rather than sending out archangels who could have flattened the entire town with the sound of their voice. He's going to send his virgin daughters out there instead.
Well, and he actually did send out his slave, and she was killed. They raped and then killed.
Yeah,
and then it tore her apart.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a good story. Mm-hmm. This is not. There's no moral to the story. This is just horrid.
And people are always talking about those sodomites. What was really the crime of Sodom? God spelled it right out there. The crime of Sodom was that she had abundance and excess and was greedy and did not take care of people in need. Yeah. That was her crime. It had nothing to do with anal sex. Yes. It had to do with how they treated foreigners. The people who were coming through town, robbing them and raping them and not treating the sojourners how they were supposed to. It had nothing to do with anal sex. Yeah. But our culture says sodomizing those are
yeah, the whole story is ridiculous. Because even afterwards, then his wife, for looking back, turns into assault. I mean, come on.
My mom's response, or maybe my dad's response to that was, it it wasn't the fact that she physically turned her head. It was because she longed to go back in her heart. She longed to go back to all that sin. And that's what God turned her into stone for, is because she longed for that.
Stupid.
Because she missed some people back there she cared about. That doesn't seem to be it should be a capital offense.
Yeah, well, even like the Jesus' thing where he says, if you want to be my disciple, you have to hate your mother and father, your brother and sister.
In your own life.
Your own life, yeah. Jesus isn't really the great guy you're thinking. It's like it says, the only thing I've come for peace, I've come to bring a sword.
But they don't want to talk about that.
No.
They want to talk about only love your neighbor parts. What, both of those? All the rest of them is a bunch of crap.
Yeah, well, they don't even hardly love their neighbor. Usually if you tell them you're not a Christian, then they hate you.
Yep.
So you mean love your Christian neighbor
Yep.
as yourself.
Yes.
Let's clarify that.
Yeah, let's be clear. And even in the Bible it talks about there's acceptable, well, that when the breath of life begins, that you don't become a human until you have your first breath. There's got these people out here
Saying
killing
conception,
people,
yeah.
killing people in abortion clinics and doing all kinds of ridiculous stuff. When it even says in the Bible itself, if you cause a woman to miscarry, you pay a fine. If you kill a woman, you get to die. So it already says that the woman is more valued than the fetus. And that in situations, if you cause the woman to lose the fetus, you pay a fine. You don't go killing people for doing that.
Yeah. But they don't understand morals, because all they understand is following the law.
Yeah. That if you don't believe in the Bible, you must have no moral code.
Yeah. No, it's actually I have a moral code because I don't believe in the Bible.
Yeah.
The Bible doesn't teach a moral code. In other words, there's no moral reasoning, just laws. You follow this law, this law, this law.
Shellfish.
Yeah.
And say why it was you should not eat shellfish. It was said no.
Well, God says.
Yeah.
So that's not even a reason. Why doesn't God like it? I don't know.
Why did he make shellfish if he didn't like it? All of these animals that I've given you on the entire earth, I give you dominion, use them as you wish. Later on, except for them. You, not them. Did I say the entire earth? No. I didn't mean the entire thing. I meant, okay, anything except for the shellfish. Okay, not the cloven hoof. Okay, not...
Doesn't chew the cud.
Okay,
Not unless it has scales. Any fish that doesn't have scales.
And
fins.
I remember my friend's mom decided she was going to be religious, and she had been an absolute not religious person all her life, so she had no knowledge of what the Bible really said, and she's just started because she's older now, she's going to be talking about church and Jesus and stuff. And I asked her about, because of being gay is an abomination in the nation. Oh, really? So, eating shellfish.
Mixed fabrics.
Yeah, mixed fabrics. You can't have a cheeseburger because it's the milk and the cow together.
Never thought about that.
You can't shave the sides of your temples. If you were married, this is on her third marriage now. If you were married before, they put you to death. I mean, if you're not a virgin when you get married, you put to death. And she's like, oh, that's not in there. That's not in there. That's not in there. I'm like, yes, it is.
Yeah, well, you're supposed to burn your whole house down if it has mold.
How about the forgive all debts for every 7 years? Yeah. Let's bring that one back.
Really?
Let's beat that one over people's heads. All debt is forgiven every 7 years. You lose their stinking minds if you try to show
Or like Jesus says, sell everything you have, give it to the poor, and then follow me.
Oh, he didn't mean that. Oh, no, not us. Not us. That's not what he meant.
Not the Republican Jesus.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he believes in guns.
Oh, yes.
And charging the poor for being poor. He doesn't. The Republican Jesus doesn't believe in takers. So in that story, I guess the 5 loaves and two fishes or whatever, or 2 loaves and 5 fishes, whatever it was.
My parents' explanation of that was it was a cautionary tale because there were 5,000 people, and the Jews were known for packing around food with them. And if you got 5,000 people together and you only had that little of food between you, that in itself was a miracle.
Yeah, crazy. They just make excuses for the Bible. They're a kid.
The mental gymnastics.
Yeah.
Is
As a kid, they believe blindly, but then as an adult, they learn more. They find excuses.
To do their little mental gymnastics to try to keep this stuff going.
It was funny,
especially when you got a smart kid that asks questions. That's why I've been out about being an atheist, because my brother has 2 kids, and he has a boy and a girl, and they're teenagers. One of them's 16, one of them's 13. The 16-year-old boy, he's pretty bright. And when they start with, atheists are demons, and they're baby eaters, and they're all these horrible things, I want them to think of me. Like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I want them to associate me with the name atheist. So when
Right.
somebody says atheist, that they have a human face behind it, and not this made-up, scary thing.
I agree.
And so that's why I make sure that anybody that's on my Facebook definitely knows about it, and anybody that asks, I will tell them. I have nothing to hide, but I've come to realize that some people can't live that way. Some people, it's dangerous for them to actually admit that they don't believe. Hi, baby.
So we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
So have you experienced any difference being a female and being in the atheist community, do you think? Or do you think it's been pretty fair?
Yeah, very even. Yep. Actually, they're very understanding and accommodating, and I've heard of people say things about female atheists, that they're just, they don't want to have babies and they're, or families. I'm like, where do you get that kind of crap from? It's all the programming that they do to try to make Christian women think, oh yeah, I don't want to be one of them. They don't want to have families.
Yeah.
They're baby eaters. They're all this, and make us all these scary people. That's why I want people to know that there's human faces behind the scary pretty guys.
Yeah.
That we are human beings, and we take care of other human beings because we care about human beings, not because we're afraid of our drop-dead Fred guy in the sky.
Right. All right, well, it was good talking to you. So, bye.